Monday, August the 21st, 2017 at 2 p.m. in Council Chambers. So we'll call the meeting to order, and first up is the adoption of some minutes. The regular open minutes of July the 17th, 2017, and the special open minutes of August the 2nd, 2017. So could we have those adopted, please? Councillor Youngberg, Councillor Rhodes, all in favor? Thank you. Business arising from the minutes, I don't think there's anything. Introduction of late items? No. So could we have a motion to adopt the agenda as thank you. Councillor King, Councillor Rhodes, all in favor? Thank you. No delegations. And first up is some water matters. And the Water Districts 8 and 9 financial accounts, and to report on cash requirements to up until August the 21st in the amount of $4,152.56. The options are to approve or not approve.
I move.
Thank you. Councillor Moreira, Councillor Ray, all in favor. Thank you. Next is the Okanagan Basin Water Board, and the report from August the 3rd is there. I was at the meeting, so just a couple of things that I'll mention. One is that the Okanagan Basin Water Board has sent letters to the new BC government and to various ministers outlining what the directors do, which issues are really important. Of course, one of the biggest ones is pressing for a stronger defense against invasive mussels. And recently there was, they had stats on the number of boats that have been stopped coming across the border into British Columbia, and of course the only station that is open 24 hours a day is the one at Golden, and they found 25 boats that had come across that were infected and with zebra quagga, which is pretty scary because if somebody had come through and not been inspected, they could be in our waterways right now. So it's just really a ticking time bomb, and people just need to be way more aware of why this is so important. So that's one of the big issues. There is a new rototiller that is being purchased, and that rototills the milfoil, and there's one place that's building it. They're pretty expensive to do, but one's needed. There is extreme weather, of course. One of the things the OBWB had to deal with was the flooding, and then go to the opposite extreme and deal with, fires and the dry things, so the drought stages. Make Water Work, the campaign that's always on in the summertime, has not taken quite as high a profile this year because people are saying, why should we be worried about making water work more efficiently? We've had too much of it. But we still need to realize that using water sensibly is an ongoing issue. It's not just for years that there's a drought. And apparently 25% of the water we used is to maintain our green grass. So there's one of the things that we're concerned about. There is an annual public meeting on September the 8th, and it's the board does this once a year, and it's called Weathering Extremes. So it'll be on fires and floods and all kinds of other things, and I will be attending that. So we need to that the motion that the correspondence be received and filed. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor King, all in favor? Thank you. And next is the Municipal Ticket Information System Amendment Bylaw. Ms. Van Vienen.
Thank you. Council adopted Animal Control Bylaw number 1316 in 2016. Along with that, an amendment was made to the Municipal Ticket Information Bylaw to amend Schedule 6 to reflect the change made in Bylaw 1316. It has been discovered that a section of Animal Control and Licensing Bylaw number 1316 regarding the muzzling of restricted dogs was omitted from the amendment to the MTI bylaw. This amendment adds that section, which is 39.3. The fine previously assessed in 1997 for not muzzling a restricted dog in town was $200. There is no recommendation to change this amount, and it is being added as a fine that can be reduced by 20% if paid within 30 days. Implications to the community: none. Organizationally, enforcement of the bylaws, no budget considerations, no significant dates. Sustainability: ensuring all regulatory bylaws have fines attached to remain enforceable through municipal tickets. Options: that Municipal Ticket Information Amendment Bylaw number 1279-13, 2017 be read a first, second, and third time, or that it be referred back to staff for changes, or 3, that it be abandoned, and staff recommend option 1.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody that would like to make thank you? Councillor Youngberg?
We are going to make the motion for number 1.
Okay.
For the first, second, and third time.
Okay. And
the amendment bylaw 1279-13, 2017 be passed.
thank you. And Councillor King has seconded that. Is there anybody that wishes to speak to it? Yes.
I do.
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Van Veen, what happens if you catch the owner of the dog's not muzzled, and you're going to give them a fine of $200? How's that enforced?
Well, if they do not provide us with the information that we need to issue the ticket, the RCMP are called to help us with getting the information required.
Okay, and would you take the dog and put it in the pound? No.
No, we would actually just enforce the ticket bylaw, and we pretty much know which people have those dogs that require to have the muzzles on them. So if we have to after the fact, we will issue them the ticket.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Saw 2 in front of my office yesterday.
Yes.
Not yesterday. Friday.
Yes.
Just scary.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm aware of those too.
Yeah. It's like,
Council.
okay, so what's going to happen?
Councillor Rhodes?
Thank you, Member Kordoff. Just a quick question. Was this driven by a clerical error, or we just discovered it randomly? Or?
In the last bylaw, it was in there. When we went to issue a ticket for somebody without a dog without a muzzle, we noticed that it was missing out of the last bylaw. Okay. So we're just correcting it.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded that we go with option number 1. All in favor? Thank you. That's carried. And next is the election bylaw, number 1332. Ms. Van Vienen.
Thank you. Previous election bylaw number 1016 was adopted in 1996. Legislation was changed to the required general voting day, and since there has been many other changes required to the bylaw, a new bylaw is being created, and bylaw 1016/1996 is being repealed. The legislation has changed to the required voting date. Previously, the date was the 3rd Saturday in November every 4 years. The date has now been changed to be on the 3rd Saturday in October every 4 years. The proposed new bylaw reflects this change. Also, since the town now has a population of over 5,000, a second advance voting opportunity is required. The first one is legislated as being the 10th day before the general election. The second would be set between the 10th day before the election and the general voting day. The proposed bylaw delegates the authority to the chief election officer to set the date for the second advance voting opportunity, but the hours must be between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. according to the legislation. Staff have been looking at dates other municipalities hold their second advance voting opportunity, and there is no consensus. However, it is likely that the second advance voting for OCS would happen on the 3rd day before the general local election, as it is the most convenient date if the council chamber continues to be used for the advance voting. Other changes to the bylaw are housekeeping matters to remove references to sections of the Municipal Act as it is now the Local Government Act. The town continues to have an automated voting machine bylaw as a separate bylaw. Implications to the community: none. No organizational budget. Significant dates: the general election to be held on the 3rd Saturday of October 2018. And options that election bylaw number 1332, 2017 be read a first, second, third time, or that it be sent back to staff for changes, or that it be abandoned, and staff recommend option 1.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rhodes?
Thank you, Member Kordoff. I'll move option number 1, that election bylaw number 1332, 2007 be read a first, second, and third time.
Thank you. Councillor King? Anybody wish to speak to this? It seems fairly straightforward. All in favor? Thank you very much. And next on the list is the amendment to the sewer connection bylaw. Mr. Dinwoody.
Thank you, Member Kordoff. Acting upon the advice of our corporate lawyers, the Operational Services Department has created an amendment to the existing sewer connection bylaw number 1299, 2013. Our lawyers were asked to provide us with language to prohibit the disconnection from the town's sanitary sewer system. For an overview, the following amended sewer connection bylaw number 1299.01-2017 clearly defines the time period within which a property owner must connect to a town sanitary sewer line adjacent to their property. It also prohibits a property owner from disconnecting from our sanitary sewer or using a septic system for the parcel unless they have written approval from the town. If a property owner fails to connect to the town's sanitary sewer system or disconnects without the approval of the town, the town will reestablish a connection at the expense of the owner. And attached is the actual document. Did you want me to read the whole paragraph?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So essentially, this is the amendment. So whereas council deemed it desirable to amend sewer connection bylaw number 1299-2013, now therefore the council of the town of Osoyoos in open meeting assembled enacts the following. This bylaw may be cited as sewer connection bylaw number 1299.01, 2017. Sewer connection bylaw number 1299, 2013 is hereby amended as follows. By removing paragraph 9 in its entirety and replacing it with the following. Where the town has installed sewer mains that are adjacent to a parcel, the owner of the parcel is required to connect to the town sewer system within 3 months of notification of same. The owner of a parcel that is required to connect to the town sewer system under subsection A shall connect to and maintain a sanitary sewer connection, and once connected to the town sewer system, an owner must not use any septic tank or septic system for the parcel. No parcel shall be disconnected from the town sewer system without prior written approval of the town. If an owner fails to connect to the town sewer system or disconnects a parcel from the sewer system without approval, and in addition to any other penalty that may be imposed under the town's bylaws, the town may have the work done to establish or reestablish a connection at the expense of the owner. The town shall be entitled to recover actual cost of the work done from the owner in the same manner as town taxes. The implications for the community: elimination of sewer septic systems within the town of Osoyoos. Organizationally, possible increased demand on the town of Osoyoos sanitary sewer system. Budget-wise, there are no impacts. Significant dates recommended to be as soon as possible. Sustainability, improved treatment of septic waste for the town of Osoyoos. So the options before council today are: council gives the first 3 readings to sewer connection bylaw number 1299.01, 2017. Option number 2 is town does not give the first 3 readings to sewer connection bylaw 1299.01, 2017. Option number 3 is that council requests additional information before making a decision. The recommendation of the administration is that council adopt option number 1.
Thank you. Councillor Rhodes?
I'll move option number 1 as recommended, that town council gives the first 3 readings to sewer connection bylaw number 1299.01, 2017.
Second. And would you like to speak to it? Go ahead.
Mr. Dinwiddie, does this include recipients on the northwest sewer line as well, or just within our town boundaries?
Just within the town boundaries, I
Yeah. What if there is a disconnect on that for whatever reason? That
somebody who's already hooked up to
Yeah.
northwest sewers.
Yeah, if they decided they wanted to go back to a septic. Because we actually
put in the sewer was so that we could take people off of septic systems.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think this amendment doesn't address that, but maybe it's something we could.
Yeah, I'm concerned about it because I think in a rural setting like that, they would be, if this was ever going to happen, and of course I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but certainly in a rural setting like that, that would be the most likely disconnection opportunity. I mean, I get it, but in town,
Yeah.
so you know what I'm getting at. I'm just curious. And we are in charge of that sewer system as well, so, yeah.
But this was simply addressing
Okay, yeah.
issues.
And I appreciate you asking that. I was thinking the same thing because the sewer was put in close to several properties who did not join up, but that was not within town boundaries, so you're quite right. I certainly think that this is a good...
Make a new bylaw.
Well, I think it would be better maybe to address it. I mean, maybe it's taken care of in other situations, I don't know, but it might be worthwhile having a look at it. I mean,
I can see what the bylaw for the Northwest Sewer extension says.
yeah, okay.
Maybe it incorporates something about disconnection.
It could be the case.
Okay.
So do we go through with this, or do we, okay, and we just wait, because you're right, it doesn't necessarily say in here just within town boundaries on this one, so we need to check that. Okay. So it's been moved and seconded that we give first three readings to this connection bylaw. All in favor? Thank you very much. That's passed. And next is the report number 2, Foreshore and Lake Regulations. Mr. Cunningham.
Thank you. At Council's July 4th meeting, they gave readings to the following 4 attached bylaw amendments to improve our foreshore and lake regulations, i.e., first and second readings. First, amendment to foreshore and lake second zoning bylaw for housekeeping improvements. Second, amendments to official community plan to incorporate a foreshore and lake development permit area, FLDPA. And then first, second, and third readings. Third, amendment to land use procedures, LUP bylaw for FLDPA implementation. And fourth, amendment to municipal ticketing information, MTI bylaw, primarily for LDPA implementation. At this meeting, staff are requesting Council to redo second readings of the first 2 bylaws because of subsequent changes made since July 4th. As authorized by Council, staff invited input on these bylaws before proceeding to a public hearing. No responses were received from the Okanagan dock builders who were contacted, perhaps because of the extensive rebuilding needed of Kelowna lakefront docks damaged or destroyed by high water in a windstorm in May. However, staff feel comfortable moving ahead after having a very informative meeting with Mr. Patrick Tobin, Senior Authorizations Officer with BC Ministry of Forestry Lands and Natural Resource Operations, FLNNRO. Largely as a result of that meeting, we added a number of refinements to our foreshore and lakes zoning amendment bylaw and proposed new foreshore and lake development permit area, FLDPA, prior to going to a public hearing. The other 2 LUP and MTI bylaw amendments are of administrative nature and hence are not subject to a public hearing, but for transparency's sake will be included in the hearing information package. Overview. For Council's convenience, especially those unable to make the last meeting, an overview is repeated of staff's proposed package of foreshore and lake regulation bylaws attached to this report. First, foreshore and lake zoning bylaw. After 5 years of experience with our foreshore and lake zoning bylaw, it is timely to make some housekeeping improvements. Council approved our bylaw in 2012, following public stakeholder recommendations the previous year from our Lake Recreational and Commercial Use Task Force. Bylaw objectives include sustaining a soils lake for the health of local fisheries, safe and orderly recreational and commercial use, and the town's continued attractiveness as a resort community. Our bylaw applies across the riparian foreshore and out to the municipal boundary in the Soils Lake, which typically is about 100 meters from shore. 4 zones are demarcated. W1, public water use, including protected swimming areas. W2, protected moorage, typically for single-family homes. W3 group strata moorage, and W4 commercial moorage. In the same fashion as land use zoning bylaws, each water zone has its own development standards, and a zoning amendment and a public hearing is required to accommodate different uses not permitted under current zoning if requested by an upland waterfront parcel owner. The various housekeeping improvements proposed for this bylaw would bring us into more conformity with provincial regulations, round out regulatory requirements, and add clarity to some text. Second, Foreshore and Lake Development Permit Area, FLDPA. It is proposed to add a new foreshore and lake development permit area into our OCP to promote environmentally sensitive design of private moorage facilities and to complement the town's foreshore and lake zoning bylaw and riparian development permit area. As explained below, these new permits will especially compensate for a diminishing provincial regulatory role regarding private morages. The Provincial Ministry of Forest, Lands and Natural Resource Operations, very long title, and I understand it's going to get even longer in the future, has very different approaches for dealing with what it distinguishes as specific permission and general permission applications for moorage facilities. The Ministry directly reviews all specific permission applications for larger moorages, such as group strata and commercial facilities, and also refers them to local governments for checking against their particular requirements. Control of private moorages is another matter, however. In these cases, or those cases, the Ministry automatically grants a general permission if property owners conform to basic blanket conditions, often known as self-condemnedness. This means that the province, and by extension local governments, can be unaware of what private moorages are being built. In the view of many affected local governments, this regulatory shortfall worsened with the Ministry announcement on January 17, 2017 that general permission exclusions were being broadened with only a few area exceptions. To enable this shift, the Ministry removed the previous surface limit of 24 square meters for private docks, the same as in our foreshore lake zoning bylaw, and now exempts docks up to 120 square meters in size from review, depending upon their individual design parameters. Staff recommends that we emulate the long-established practice of the Columbia Shuswap Regional District of requiring development permits for private moorages by instituting our own similar foreshore and lake development permit area. Like the Shuswap Regional District, Columbia Shuswap Regional District, we do not advocate duplicating the province's mandate for specific permissions of large moorage facilities. Third, Land Use Procedures Bylaw. Some amendments are required to our Land Use Procedures Bylaw to assist implementing foreshore and lake development permits. Add this new type of permit to the Director of Planning Development serves to delegate authority for approving development permits, including it on the development permit application form, and charge a permit fee of $250 as stipulated by Council at their July 4th meeting. Fourth, lastly, amendments are also required to municipal ticketing information bylaw to primarily add offenses and fines for commencing work without a foreshore and lake development permit area. Option 1, Council redoes second readings for the foreshore and lake zoning bylaw housekeeping amendments and the new foreshore and lake development permit area. Option 2, Council requires more information before proceeding. Impacts community. Consistent, clear, and effective regulations will contribute to achieving community foreshore and lake objectives and will create a level playing field for all users. Organizational additional demands on P&D staff for new development permits are unknown at this time, but should be manageable. Budget development permit fees will assist in defraying the cost of additional town services. Significant dates, timely action is needed to cover off a regulatory shortfall for private moorages. Future bylaw fine-tuning could be possible by learning from practice. Sustainability, long-term environmental sustainability of a soils lake is a primary concern of our community sustainability plan. Recommendations. Staff recommends option 1 by A. Council separately rescind second readings of each of the following 2 attached bylaws and reads them a second time as amended, ready for a public hearing. 1. Foreshore and Lake zoning amendment bylaw number 1294.02, 217, housekeeping improvements, and 2, official community plan amendment bylaw number 1230.20, 217, Foreshore and Lake Development Permit Area, FLDPA. B, council schedules a public hearing for 4:00 p.m. September 18th to 17 in council chambers. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a bit confusing, isn't it?
Yes.
Can I ask a question? Why, do you know why Flynn Rowe said change the surface area from 24 square meters to 120? That's a huge difference. Did they give you any reason for that, or?
They didn't give any rationale except that basically they were stepping away from the plate in terms of managing these types of merges. So they were effectively downloading it on the municipalities. They don't really have the staff to control these kind of merges. And they also give the benefit that now the control would be closer to the local action with the municipalities and regional districts.
The problem with that I see is that the town can manage something like this, but then you've got the regional district area around the lake. You've got the merges down in the States, which doesn't necessarily affect us, and you've got the ones on the Suis Indian Band. So you could have a whole different set of rules for the one lake, right?
Yes, you could. So in some areas, I don't doubt that there's going to be a mess that results out of this. Some municipalities and regional districts are asking the provincial government to walk this back, these changes. I don't think that's going to happen, quite frankly. We happen to be in I guess, a lucky position in that we have our own water zoning bylaw and our own capacity for regulating these things, but in other places they won't. There will be some exceptions where the provinces identified particularly sensitive riparian areas. They will keep control of those as they used to in the past. But there's some areas that are going to lose out of this, undoubtedly.
Yes. I had one more concern. I know that this year, because of the length of the winter and the thickness of the ice, that many people who assumed had docks that were going to be safe in that lost their docks. This doesn't have anything to do with the construction of the dock and whether it should be moved or not. That isn't our concern. I mean, I'm just worried that, I know some of my neighbors that they didn't pull in their docks and they're absolutely ruined. They had to start from scratch again.
Yeah, what you're alluding to is actually happened most dramatically in Okanagan Lake, where over 1,000 structures reportedly were damaged. And so there's been incredible onus on local authorities there, because they're being expected to authorize docks and structures that in fact weren't legal in the first place. So I'm not quite sure how they're going to deal with it.
Thank you very much. Would anybody like to Councillor Rhodes?
Well, I'll recommend or move the recommended action number 1.
So we have to deal with these separately, right, Mrs. Hilson? So that would be that we rescind the 2 readings?
Yeah.
Is that the first thing?
And 1A specifically.
Okay. Is there somebody that'd like to second that? Thank you very much. Did you want to speak to it before we vote on it? Or?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I understand the rescinding part of it, certainly, but I'm pretty comfortable with making that motion without question, I think.
I think it was because you'd spoken to the Flynn Rowe fellows since July the 4th when we put this through the first time.
Yes, since we give the first 2 readings at the last meeting, we made changes to those 2 bylaws. So you have to rescind the bylaws and then move ahead and reread them a second time.
I should
Okay.
probably
We have the
mention that.
expert here if you,
You don't, you rescind the previous readings, but you
The
don't
previous
rescind,
reading.
yeah, don't
Yes.
rescind the bylaw, yeah.
yeah, that's correct.
So the first thing we're doing is rescinding the first 3 readings.
First,
Two readings.
second,
The first 2 readings.
just a second reading.
On the, yep,
Yeah, exactly the way it's worded in the
Yeah, that's
recommendation.
correct.
okay.
I should clarify that I was humming and hawing because I was going to go into a rant about my distaste of downloading situations like this, but I think I kind of get it.
I don't think I would disagree with that.
So,
And he hasn't gone into a rant today, so we could have expected one. He might still. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we go with option 1, correct? Which is rescinding second readings from each of the 2 bylaws. We have to just do the first bylaw. Okay, so we're rescinding the second reading of the Foreshore and Lake Zone Amendment bylaw and rereading it. So we can do that in the same motion? Okay. So all in favor of that? Thank you. And now, would somebody like to, it's the second one, the Official Community Plan Amendment bylaw. We have to do the same thing. Rescind the second reading and reread for a second time the amended version, correct?
Yeah.
Councillor King, Councillor Youngberg, are we okay with this? Anybody who wants to be, okay, all in favor? Thank you. And we also need a motion to schedule a public hearing on September the 18th at 4 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
Councillor King, Councillor Rhodes, all in favor? Okay, so is that done? Thank you.
we're just hoping.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I should have asked you first before we did that.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that,
He wants to rant.
well, not really,
Okay,
no.
that's fine.
Wanted to mention that the scheduled public hearing is intended to allow the public, I know everybody around this table understands the implications of it, but certainly if you feel affected or effected by any of the wording or any of the changes in this, that these public hearings are your opportunity to express, and I'm speaking to the public, any concerns or suggestions or ideas or opinions regarding it, so.
Exactly, and there will be a full package available at the planning department to pick up if you can't download it from your own computer. So we're very willing to help in that regard.
Thank you very much. Okay, so next is the report number 2, development variance permit application. That's Mr. Cunningham.
Okay, so this is a report on development variance permit application DV 17-01 for 9915 74th Avenue. An earlier version of this report was presented to Council at the regular meeting on June 17th. At that meeting, Council agreed with staff's recommendation and resolved as follows with motion 230/17 that Council denies the development variance permit application DVP 17-101, but requests that staff consult with the applicant to come up with a solution to reduce the impact of the proposed detached garage shop and the variances that are required. The purpose of this current report is to update Council on the result of staff's consultations with the applicant and to make recommendations. Overview. The subject property of the proposed development variance permit is located at the southwest corner of 74th Avenue and Wren Drive, opposite our new fire hall, attachment 1 and 2. The size of the property is 862 square meters, and consistent with it being in the agricultural land reserve, is designated under both our OCP and zoning bylaws for agricultural use. A demolition permit has been issued for an existing fire-damaged single-family dwelling and detached garage structure on the property. As shown in the following initial site plan, the new property owners, Angelo and Debbie Zova, wish to build larger replacement buildings, namely a 441 square meter single-family rancho home, along with an accessory 279 square meter detached garage shop. To accommodate these two buildings, the owners applied for 2 variances to reduce the lot line setbacks from those required under their AG agricultural zoning to the less demanding standards from the of the R1 single-family residential zone. Specifically, as shown on the site plan, the requested variances were to reduce the front lot line setback on Run Place from 9 meters to 6 meters, and the exterior side setback on 74th Avenue from 9 meters to 3 meters. The Silvers development proposals for their property have significant planning implications because it's located within the 40-acre Southeast Meadowlark block designated for future growth under OCP. In 2007, Council approved the Southeast Meadowlark area plan as a secondary plan under the OCP for managing the block's orderly transition from its rural fringe character to become an integral part of the South urban area. As depicted on attached 4 from the plan, that's attachment 3 at the end of the package, sets aside a parcel for the town's new fire hall and allocates much of the block remainder, including the Silvers property, for eventual medium-density housing, which the plan also requires to contain some affordable housing. Where individual properties are too small by themselves to be developed according to the plan, owners are encouraged to assemble sufficiently sized properties in collaboration with their neighbours. On the basis of Council's area plan, the Agricultural Land Commission granted approval in principle to remove properties from the ALR as needed for development. Implementation of the Southeast Meadowlark area plan has started with the release of some ALR lands, first for a new fire hall, which was constructed last year, and then for the town's own 26-lot residential subdivision to be built up with primarily narrow frontage single-family homes, including 5 affordable units. Since housing construction started on the first subdivision phase, there seems to be increasing interest in developing other properties in Southeast Meadowlark, including by owners and potential purchasers. It would have been preferable, of course, for implementing the Southeast Meadowlark area plan that the Silver property be developed as part of a medium-density project with some affordable housing. But since the Silvers obviously bought the property to build a more rural character residence, the next best option is to avoid any negative impacts on nearby properties which would detract from their plan potentials. In this regard, much of the concern raised in Council's first July 17th variance meeting seemed to center on the large size of the Silvers' proposed accessory garage shop and its close proximity to the west and south lot boundaries. No variances are requested for the garage shop, but those requested for the house are at least partly necessitated to also accommodate this structure. Certainly its large size and proximity to nearby lot lines could negatively impact any nearby future medium-density housing, such as row houses or apartments, which tend to have smaller rear yards and hence are more vulnerable to losses of use and privacy. Since the first meeting, the Silvers agent, Mr. Badorenko of McElhenney Consulting Services, has submitted a revised site plan shown on the next page and provided other written assurances to soften impacts from the accessory garage shop, which, if agreed to by Council, will be included as condition to the development variance permit, i.e., proposed DEVP conditions. 1. The single-family rancher home and detached garage shop should be sited on the property in general consistency with the applicant's revised site plan of July 5th, 2017. 2. The proposed garage shop would have a maximum floor area of 223 square meters. That's compared with the original proposal for 279 square meters. The west and south side setbacks of the garage shop would be 2 meters. This compares with the initial proposal for 1.5 meters. Building height of the garage shop would not exceed the allowable maximum in our zoning bylaw of 4.5 meters from average finished grade to the highest point of the roof. 5. Landscape trees will be planted around the west and south building sides at a height and density satisfactory to the town. And 6, the garage shop exterior will be of similar appearance to the principal house. Impacts, CUNY, Form letters from 6 neighbors supporting the proposed variances were submitted at the public variance meeting by the applicant's agent on July 17th. Organizational building permits will be required for the house as well as the accessory garage shop because it is over 9.29 square meters. That's 100 square feet. Budget, nothing to report, nothing with respect to significant dates. Sustainability, the Silva's development plans will remove the property from the public lands potentially available for medium-density affordable housing in the Southeast Middle Arc area, but their proposed accessory garden shop revisions will help mitigate negative impacts on nearby properties, which would have detracted from the potential for advancing area plan policies. Options. 1. Council still denies the requested variances. 2. Council approves the requested variances and the issuance of a development variance permit for the property located at 9915 74th Avenue, subject to the applicant's revised site plan and conditions set out in the staff report. Or Council 3. Council requests additional changes to the applicant's proposals. Staff recommends option number 2.
Thank you very much, and I thank you and Mr. Alenko and the Silvas for realizing that there was some middle ground here and that they could work together to come up with a better solution. So thank you. Yes, Councillor Youngberg.
Thanks, Mayor McCorduff. I'd like to move option number 2. Council approves the requested variances and the issuance of a development variance permit. DVP 17-01 for the property located at 9915 74th Avenue.
Thank you.
What's the problem?
Because it's apparently because it's a development permit or a variance, the mayor has to ask if anybody wishes to speak.
Oh, pardon me. I didn't.
Is
That
that
wasn't
a
written down
process?
here. Is there anybody who would like to speak to this? No, you're okay with this, Mr. Alenko? Okay. So.
We can continue.
Is there? Yes. There's nobody else that wants to go ahead then.
Subject to the applicant's revised site plan and the conditions set out in this staff report. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
And Councillor King is seconding that. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this? Good. All in favor of the motion? Thank you very much. So that's passed. And next is the Urban Forestry Plan and Tree Management Bylaw. Mr. Cunningham, have you got some water? You okay? Do you need a drink? You looked like you needed to have something.
This is water. An earlier version of this report was submitted to Council at the regular meeting on July 17th. Staff recommended that Council approve retaining the services of CTQ Consulting to prepare an urban forestry plan and management bylaw for a fixed fee of $19,545, subject to Council approving additional monies of $4,545 to meet a budget shortfall. However, Council resolved as following with motion 231/17 that Council requests more information and staff bring back a report to the next regular Council meeting. Overview. The Town of Osoyoos needs improved policy and regulatory tools for effective stewardship of our forest resources, including trees and larger shrubs. These tools will assist us to realize the full aesthetic, quality of life, and environmental potentials of our urban forests, help answer increasing questions from the general public on effective tree protection, removal practices, better advise developers on their proposed landscape plans, and help us to enhance public spaces. Council's 2017 budget includes $15,000 for an urban forestry plan and tree management bylaw. A copy of the RFP is attached, which was released on July 7th, 2017, with advertisements placed on the town website and the Osoyoos Times, Civic Info, and BC Bid. Proposals were received from 4 companies by the closing date of July 28th. The companies are listed below in alphabetical order together with their tender prices before GST. In alphabetical order, CTQ Consulting Kelowna, fixed price $19,545. Next, Diamond Head Consulting Vancouver, There's two options. The first option was $19,130. The second option was $26,400. McElhaney Consulting Services Kamloops. Option 1, $17,122. Option 2, cost plus. South Shore, fourth one, South Shore Forest Consultants, Sydney, fixed price $14,935. Hard copies of the proposals are available for council's viewing at Planning and Development Services. Each proposal was carefully assessed and rated by the director according to the weighted performance criteria set out in Section 7 of the RFP. All the director's assessment sheets have been separately provided to council on a confidential basis compliant with Section 21 of the Freedom of Information Act to avoid harmful disclosure of business information to other parties. So I understand all of those were forwarded to you last Thursday, I believe it was. The comparative evaluation results are summarized in the following table. So we've got the criteria, we've got the maximum points assignable, and in each of the points that the companies were scored at. So CTQ came out at 81 out of 100, Diamond Head 52, McElhaney 56, and South Shore 39. In terms of recommendations, staff only recommends CTQ. We do not recommend the other proposals. As can be seen, CTQ of Consulting of Kelowna is a clear leader under our rating system and are recommended by staff subject to funding. Although most of the companies were fairly equal in terms of company and staff experience, CTQ more fully captured the scope of work required under the RFP and presented the most thorough and practical methodological approach, which also helped them score high in value for money. In no circumstances were any of the other companies recommended for consideration. CTQ are already known to us from their excellent work in the Jarrah Park Pier Advancement Study, and two key players from that project are part of the Forestry Plan and Tree Bylaw team, namely Ed Grafoni as Planner Project Manager and Frank Poland as Landscape Designer. Reference checks were very positive on other team members who will be providing arborist expertise and natural resource biology support, including for critically important riparian areas. CTQ's tender of $19,545 exceeds council's budget of $15,000 for this project by $4,545. However, the director has fully reviewed the detailed hourly cost estimates and finds them reasonable for the breadth and width of work it would undertake. In view of CTQ's strong leading qualifications and lack of cost-effective competition, we strongly recommend them for the contract. CTQ would complete preparation of a planning bylaw in 4 to 5 months. An initial start-up meeting between key staff and the consultants will include discussing the important issue of how forestry policies and regulations could differentially apply to public and private lands. Once all draft documents are completed, the consultants will present their findings and recommendations to council, staff, and the public for obtaining feedback before completing their final deliverables. Options: Option 1, council selects CTU Consulting, or Option 2, council cancels the competition. Impacts. Community. Because of Sawyer's special status as a resort, community will especially benefit from effective urban forestry policies and regulations. Public input into the plan and regulations will be encouraged. Organizational. Effective plans and regulations will assist staff make better use of the resources for improving customer services. The budget. The Director of Finance is submitting a separate council report requesting approval to cover the over-budget requirement of $4,545 for CTQ's services by transferring the requisite monies from other projects. He's not here, but he's assured me that that's possible. Significant dates: contract will be largely completed this year. Sustainability, very, very important. Urban forests have considerable environmental benefits, including improved quality of life shading and reduced energy consumption, noise reduction and visual shading, improved air quality filtration, reduced greenhouse gases through carbon sequestration, reduced stormwater runoff, and improved bank stability and enhanced riparian fish habitats. Recommendations. Staff recommends that based on the additional information I have provided, Council approve retaining the services of CTQ Consultant to prepare an urban forestry plan and tree management bylaw for a fixed fee of $19,545 and approve additional monies of $4,545 to make up the contract price. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCorduff. Director Cunningham, I'm wondering if you could just take a couple of moments and go over some of the consequences of canceling competition. And my reason for asking is it's approximately 25% over budget. I know the numbers are not big and they're not huge, but it certainly is a not necessarily a precedent, but it doesn't follow, other contracts that we send out for larger amounts of money. So, the ratio is pretty high, and I'm kind of wondering what the consequences are of perhaps canceling that, putting it on the table for a while, and maybe having a look at it at some point in the future.
Thank you for the question. I must say that when the budget was settled, I had some qualms about the level. I sort of intuitively felt it might come in more, which was correct. The bylaw is extremely important to us. We are a resort community. Aesthetics of life here, quality of life are extremely important. The environmental sustainability is a huge issue nowadays, and especially the advantages that trees offer in terms of carbon sequestration. There's a lot of experts say that dollar for dollar, that's one of the best tools that you have of fighting global warming. We receive a huge, well, not huge, that's an over-exaggeration, but a lot of front counter inquiries about trees in terms of my neighbor's trees are blah, 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 overhanging mine. What can I do about it? Or I have problems with my own trees, my own property, or there's trees on public lands, especially in riparian areas. They're dropping leaves, they're a nuisance. Can you not just cut them down? We also have to deal with developers and their landscape plans. As I've mentioned a few times, that what was called the retirement center just up the road there, we authorized a landscape plan there. It had 16 trees, small trees, which eventually proved to be nuisance varieties. We didn't know. We were told of that by somebody else and said, these things are going to overtake and kill all the other domestic trees around, and we had to order them removed. And the more we get into things like, for instance, downtown revitalization, and we're talking about planting nice trees and shrubs and so forth for public spaces. So it is over the original budget, but I think it's money's very, very well spent. So I have no reservation in terms of recommending that this contract proceed.
Thank you. Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. No, I think this bylaw is very important. It does come down to dollars and cents. I have one other little funny question. I don't know if you can really answer it, Mr. Cunningham. The value for money where this company has 20 points and the others have 10, can you give me a small example what they would have provided to give them double the number?
What was it, value for money? Well, that's from us, as I mentioned in the report. That's very much somewhat of a survey of some of the other factors. So they did very well in their evaluations, and so they're a little bit more in terms of the money, but not so much more as some others. And when you balance it all out, they're best buy for the dollar.
I'm a little slow at understanding. If I give you a report with 10 pages, that's better than one that gives you 5 pages?
Not to my mind, and
Okay.
if anybody went through the process with me, for instance, with the Parks and Trails plan, I fought very steadily for for
hear
12 months to have that report cut down in size. Thank you.
Yeah, I do think that canceling this would not be a good idea. I realize that it's a little bit more money than we had budgeted for, but I think you, to my mind, you've explained it well why we need a little bit of extra money, and I do think it's really important that we get on with this and look at what are the best trees and shrubs for this area, which things could be taken out, which things could be replaced, because, I mean, we've already got some questions asked in here, not necessarily just at the planning department. So I am quite comfortable with going ahead with this. Is there anyone else that would like to say anything? So is there somebody who'd like to make a motion? I don't think we have a motion on the table yet, do we?
I'll make a motion that council approve retain the service CTQ Consulting to prepare an urban forestry plan and tree management bylaw for the fixed fee of $19,545 and approve the additional monies of $4,545 to make up the contract price.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Oh, did you second that, Councillor Rhodes? Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? All in favor? Against? Are you against?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
I must apologize for stumbling around through some of the reports. I do not feel well today. I am leaving and I am going home.
Going home, good. Drive carefully. Thank you very much. And next we have the Osiris Lawn Bowling Club lease. Ms. Van Vienen.
Thank you. Since March 1st, 2000, the Osiris Lawn Bowling Club has had an agreement with the town to use the lands legally described as part of Block 530, DL2450S, SDYD, Plan 2450, except Plan A1011, for the purposes of lawn bowling. This agreement was for 5 years with 3 5-year renewals. In 2014, Council agreed to renew the license to use the property at Gyro Park to the Osiris Lawn Bowling Club for a period of March 1st, 2015 to February 28th, 2018, with the possibility of 2 one-year renewals. The reasoning for the renewals was to allow Council the option to reclaim the lands for the purposes of the Gyro Park improvements. The Lawn Bowling Club has requested that Council consider the first one-year renewal from March 1st, 2018 to February 28th, 2019, and their letter is attached to this report. There are plans for changes to Gyro Park that may impact the area currently used by the Lawn Bowling Club. In consultation with the Director of Planning, there does not appear to be concern for the renewal of the lawn bowling license to use for 1 additional year, interfering with any improvements at Gyro Park at this time. It is also quite possible that no improvements will be made to the lawn bowling location until the fall of 2019. Therefore, Council can consider either to extend the license only to February 28, 2019, or proceed one step further to extend it until September 30th, 2019, with any further requests to use the lands to be renegotiated under the new license to use agreement. Implications for the community: continuation of a lawn bowling activity. Organizationally, monitoring of the agreement. Budget: there is no impact. The license to use fee is $5 per year. Significant dates: the current renewal expires February 28, 2018. Sustainability: continuing to supply activity options for the community. For the options, number 1, that Council approve a 1-year renewal to the license to use agreement with the Osiris Lawn Bowling Club for use of part of Block 530, DL2450S, SDYD, Plan 2450, except Plan A1011, and that the signatories be authorized to sign the modification agreement. Or that Council approve the renewal of the license to use agreement with the Osiris Lawn Bowling Club for use of that property for a period of March 1st, 2018 to September 30th, 2019, with no further renewals, and that the signatories be authorized to sign the modification agreement. And further, that if the lands are not required for use by the town at the expiration of the term, that the new license to use agreement be considered on a year-to-year basis. Or 3, that Council not approve the renewal to the license to use agreement with the Osiris Lawn Bowling Club. Staff recommend option 2 if there will be no impact on the improvements to Gyro Beach until at least the fall of 2019 by exercising a partial renewal of the second term at this time. Will avoid this coming back to council until a firm date and the future of the area is established.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody?
Yep.
Yes, Councillor Youngberg.
I would like to move option number 2, that council approve a renewal to the license to use agreement with the Osoyoos Lawn Bowling Club for use of part of Block 530, DL 2450S, SDYD Plan 2450, except Plan A1011 for the period of March the 1st, 2018 to September 30th, 2019. Can you just sort of take the rest of that, Mrs. Hilson?
She's got it. She's got it there.
Okay, that's great. Yes, because there's been a big improvement, I think, in the lawn bowling. They've lots of people are participating, and there seems to be a larger membership than I've seen for a long time. So that's great, and we're not moving the museum anyway, so right at the moment.
No,
Thank you.
So are you seconding that motion? Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to that? Yes, Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Member Cordoff. Yeah, just to echo Councillor Youngberg's comments, I was really pleased to see the letter. You know, so often he's come to us and there's no backup information or anything, and just referencing the increase in membership at the Lawn Bowling Club, and you know, that's always a good thing because it shows, you know, that the community is interested in it. And also having students from the elementary and secondary schools is just such a great thing. And yes, I'm really happy to move forward with this. Any impacts that it might have on future development in that area down there certainly can be worked through a number of different processes if we run into any situations like that. So
good. Thank you very much. I'll say ditto to both of those. Anybody else? Okay, all in favor of the motion? Thank you very much. Thank you. And next is the landfill perimeter fencing contract. Mr. Dinwiddie.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In 2016, the Osoyoos Sanitary Landfill was broken into 4 times. The incident on November 20th of 2016 resulting in the theft of a substantial amount of equipment from the landfill contractor. The back half of the landfill is currently not fenced and therefore provides thieves with an easy access point to this facility. Although the proposed fencing will not stop determined thieves from breaking in, it will provide a deterrent to theft from the metal and battery recycling areas. As part of the 2017 capital budget process, Town Council approved the allocation of funds to accommodate the installation of perimeter fencing at the Town of Osoyoos Sanitary Landfill. The Operational Services Department tendered a contract for the installation of perimeter fencing at the landfill. The tenders for this project closed at 2 p.m. Thursday, August 3rd, 2017, and the resulting bids have been checked for accuracy and evaluated. The bids which were submitted for this project are listed below with the taxes excluded. Chute Creek Contracting, $18,000. RCG Construction Management Limited, $43,797. Implications for the community: improved security at the Osoyoos Sanitary Landfill, organizationally reduced liability risks for the Operational Services Department who administer the operation of the Osoyoos Sanitary Landfill. Budget-wise, the bid from Chute Creek Contracting is $7,000 or 28% below the council-approved budget for this project. Significant dates: in order for the successful contractor to begin work on the project during favorable weather conditions, it is recommended that the contract be awarded as soon as possible. Sustainability: reduced incidences of theft, we hope, from the Osoyoos Sanitary Landfill will free up resources which might otherwise be tied up in legal actions. The options before Council are that Council approves awarding the contract for landfill perimeter fencing to Chute Creek Contracting for $18,000 plus taxes. Option number 2 is that Council approves awarding the contract for landfill perimeter fencing to RCG Construction Management Limited for $43,797 plus taxes. Option number 3 is that Council request additional information prior to making a decision. Administration recommends that Council approve option number 1.
Are you going to ask the question I was going to? Why is the difference in price?
Yeah.
I'm amazed at the difference in from
price,
18 to 43. Do we have any idea why?
RCG Construction Management is out of Maple Ridge, BC. so they would have to come here. They'd have to mobilize their crews. They have to transfer all their stuff to come here and do that. Chute Creek is from Penticton.
Okay, so that's.
So I suspect that's where the huge difference is.
Thank you.
Can I just ask one more question? Well, how many feet is it, or meters?
It's about 1,606 feet of 6 foot. It's wildlife-resistant fence with barbed wire along the top.
Okay,
Oh, good.
thank you. So,
One question.
yes.
Can you ever electrify that barbed wire?
You could. We hadn't put that into the budget, but it's possible, I suppose, yes.
Maybe not today.
One other question?
Yeah.
Do we have a bylaw around not using barbed wire?
Not that I know of. The existing fence already has barbed wire on it, so I hope
Okay.
not.
We're not bringing that in as a,
There's one for use of razor wire and barbed wire,
Yes.
but in industrial areas.
Oh, okay.
okay.
Thank you.
This is in the regional district.
That makes all the difference.
Okay. I knew
Okay,
there was
so
something there.
would somebody like to make a motion, please? Councillor Rhodes?
Thank you, Mayor McAuliffe. I'll move option number 1, that council approves awarding the contract for the landfill perimeter fencing to Chute Creek Contracting for $18,000 and plus taxes.
Thank you. Are
I'll
you
second.
seconding that? Thank you. Anybody else? All in favor? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And is the next one, just a minute, we have to do the landfill final cover.
Right.
Okay, that would be you, Mr. Dinwiddie.
Right, so, thank you, Madam Mayor. So as part of the 2017 capital budget process, Town Council approved the allocation of funds to accommodate the excavation and stockpile of silt materials at the Town of Osoyoos sanitary landfill, approximately 5,000 cubic meters. This excavated silt material will ultimately be utilized for final cover of the landfill facility when it is eventually decommissioned. The excavation of the silt material will also produce additional airspace, which can then be used to increase the landfill's existing capacity. For an overview, the Operational Services Department hired True Consulting to create and tender a contract for the excavation and stockpiling of silt materials at the Town of Osoyoos sanitary landfill. The tenders for this project closed at 2 p.m. Tuesday, August 15th, 2017, and the resulting bids have been checked for accuracy and evaluated by True Consulting, who has attached a report. The bids which were submitted for this project are listed below, this time with taxes included. They are J.W. Price Construction Limited, $35,700 even, OK Excavating, $43,475, Superior Excavating, $67,200, Grizzly Excavating Limited, $72,450, and Hazelwood Construction Services, Inc., $79,642.50. True Consulting recommends that the tender, as submitted by J.W. Price Construction Limited in the amount of $35,700, be accepted. The Operational Services Department would like to extend the quantity of this excavation contract to 6,000 cubic meters to provide us with additional airspace. It should be noted that even with this quantity extension, the total contract value will still fall well within the original contract budget amount. Implications for the community. Continued efficient operation of the Town of Osoyoos sanitary landfill today with provision for the facility's ultimate closing in the future. Organizationally, the Town of Osoyoos will stockpile material which will be used for the final cover of the sanitary landfill, eliminating the need to acquire the more expensive geomembrane liner system. Budget-wise, the bid submitted by J.W. Price Construction Limited is $16,000 or 32% below the council-approved budget for this project, taxes excluded. The additional 1,000 cubic meters of excavation requested by the Operational Services Department will bring the contract total to $40,000, including a $4,000 in contingency fund, which is still $10,000 or 20% below the council-approved budget for this project. Significant dates, just like the last one, in order for the successful contractor to begin work on this project during favorable weather conditions, it is recommended that the contract be awarded as soon as possible. And sustainability, the increase in airspace at the Town of Osoyoos landfill will ultimately extend the life cycle of this facility. So the options before council are that council approve awarding the contract for landfill Stage 2 final cover excavation and stockpile to J.W. Price Construction Limited for $35,700, taxes included. Option number 2 is that council approve awarding the contract for landfill Stage 2 final cover excavation and stockpile to J.W. Price Construction Limited for $42,000, taxes included. That would be the 6,000 cubic meter one. Option number 3 is that council requests additional information prior to making a decision, and administration recommends that council this time approve option number 2.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody who would like to? Councillor Rhodes.
I'll move the recommended option number 2.
Okay.
The council, okay, as it's worded
Okay,
in the
thanks.
report.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Would anyone like to speak to this? No, I think we're okay with it. All in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the next is the new liquor license application, and Mr. Paget is here to present this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good afternoon. Some background on this. Proposed new restaurant for the existing commercial retail space at the Watermark Hotel, 15 Park Place, has made an application to the Liquor Control and Licensing Branch for a food primary liquor license. The applicant is specifically requesting hours of liquor service that extend past midnight. The hours of service the applicant has requested are from 9 a.m. until 2 a.m., 7 days a week. LCLB regulations regarding extended liquor service hours or for a patron participation entertainment endorsement include the filing of Appendix 2, Local Government First Nation Confirmation of Receipt of Application. This serves as notice that an application for a new food primary license is being made within our community and is requesting hours of service, liquor service, past midnight. The branch requests that council consider the extended hours and provide the branch with a resolution or comments within 90 days of the receipt of the application. And it also states that the local government can delegate staff with the authority to provide comments. Comments, if provided, must include the local government's views on the impact of noise on the community in the immediate vicinity of the establishment, the general impact on the community, and whether hours of service that extend past midnight may result in the service area being operated in a manner that's contrary to its primary purpose. Comments or resolutions should indicate whether the local government has gathered the views of the residents and provide a description of the method used to gather those views. Alternatively, local government may opt out of providing comments entirely, in which case the branch will gather public input and contact local government staff for information to assist the branch in considering the regulatory criteria. Some implications for the community may have an effect on the community residents living in close proximity to the establishment and emergency responders. Significant dates would be September 19th, will be 90 days since the receipt of the document, which was delivered to Planning and Development Services on June 19th, 2017. Options are number 1, council may pass a resolution regarding the proposed application. Council may direct staff to provide comments to the branch regarding the application. Number 3, council may direct staff to apply for an extension of the 90-day deadline. And number 4, council may opt out of providing comments to the branch. And the recommendation is that staff recommend that council opt out of providing comments to the branch due to the fact that it exceeds our normal field of experience and our available staff resources.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This is a tricky one, I think, because when I've been at regional district, we get a fair number of these types of applications from wineries to the regional district directors, and it's always been recommended that we not get involved and that we stay out of it. It is not our area of expertise. So I'm a little bit, I understand why you're saying that. Then again, it seems that the Owl Pub across the street has liquor licensing until 2 a.m., and therefore the noise would not make a difference on this. Can you explain the difference between a liquor license with food and a food with liquor? Because I understand that is of some significance. Am I correct?
Yeah, that is. A liquor primary license is like a bar, where there could be no food involved. It's just alcohol service. Most places that we have around town here do both. But a place that is established as a liquor primary, much like the Owl Pub and the Sage Pub, the service of alcohol is number one. You don't have to have food with your alcohol service. Food primary is a food primary establishment, much like any restaurant that wishes to add alcohol as secondary.
So you couldn't go in there and sit down at the table and order a drink. In other words, you would have to.
I'm not exactly sure. But the rules have changed over the years.
Okay.
I'm not exactly confident that I know the answer to that.
Okay.
If you have to order food with an alcoholic beverage in a food secondary.
Okay, thank you.
Or
Yes,
liquor
Councillor Youngberg?
And a question, so if that were the case, where I have just recently been in Boston Pizza and Smithers and sat there and had a drink, and I didn't order any food.
Mm-hmm.
So would that permission be dependent upon the local government, or would that be a provincial decision?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Yeah.
Councillor King, then Councillor
I
Rhodes.
guess just with your recommendation on 2, I don't quite get it, because I can see us not necessarily doing all the work for the provincial government, and if it goes back to the provincial government, they're still going to ask our staff some questions or input. So the way I read this, and maybe I'm reading it wrong, staff recommend council opt out of providing comments to the branch, but you're going to be asked comments even if the government does the work.
It's
Is that
my
correct?
understanding that we could be. Speaking with licensing officials at the branch, they're more likely to just put advertisements in our local paper and wait for a response. If someone responds that is demanding some information, they'll contact us to provide that information.
But if we pass this, it says we can't make any comments.
No, but the branch can contact us for comments. It's a
This
little bit
is-
confusing. They've got a
Providing
methodology,
comments
but
to the branch, that's what this says. So we wouldn't give any comments to the branch. I'm just wondering if it should be reworded a little bit, that's all I'm
well,
asking.
in the report, it does state that the branch may contact us.
Yes.
If I can go back and find that.
Yeah,
So we're
right.
not offering the comments,
does.
but we could be asked later.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right,
is that
but
what
here it
means?
says we're
Yeah,
going to opt out of comments.
for now.
No,
Yeah,
it doesn't
but
say
if-
that.
But if they asked us, we might have to provide.
That's why I'm
Yeah.
wondering if it has to be
Yeah.
reworded, is what
Yeah.
I'm really asking.
Okay, Councillor Rhodes was next.
Thank you, Member Kordoff. Well, I'd like to offer up an option, and I'm not exactly sure which one I'd like to offer. The one thing I do know is that I don't think I would like to go with the opt-out one, and I'm wondering if you could help me maybe position or reword this a little bit better. I would like to see this thing move forward as rapidly as possible with our blessing or our encouragement or our support of this. The reason why I would like to do that, before we go ahead with, the actual wording of the motion is there is a major facility directly across from it, and you're absolutely right. There is a difference between the two venues, but when you factor in parking, impact on the neighborhood, and all those other negative things that you have, the one that's there and established already would probably fill all of those criteria before the one that is looking for the application, the new one in the Watermark Resort. The location is a great location because it doesn't really impact a lot of residents. There are a few, there is one sitting very close to me, but there isn't, a lot of interaction between that facility and the residential component, which would probably speak back against, the loud noise and all of the other things, but it's already there already anyway because of that. I have a belief that if we opt out, it may delay the process. And I also have a belief at the end of the day that they will probably achieve getting the extended hour license anyway. So based on that, I would like to, provide a motion that would expedite the situation rather than the opting out process.
And can I ask one question first, and then Mr. Emenko? If the extended hours was not okayed, at what hour right now would they have to shut down? Rather than 2, it would be midnight?
Midnight.
Midnight.
Okay.
The
So
only
it's a
reason this
difference
is
of 2
before
hours.
council is that the hours of service requested go past midnight.
Okay.
If they were fine with their hours at midnight, we
Then-
wouldn't even be
yeah.
here. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Emenko?
The rationale for providing this, and I guess, yes, the wording is somewhat misleading relative to opt-out, but I think one of the things you got to take a look at is whether or not the community, the council, the staff, are going to be involved in the public consultation process. The liquor board, very specifically, if you're going to provide comments, you're going to have to provide support for those comments. In other words, where did you, who did you consult to gather your views? And having, we could provide comments back to the liquor board to say that we would opt out of the consultation process. However, we could provide some limited comments, something to the effect that this particular facility is, much to what Councillor Rhodes says, in a low residential area, commercial area, next to an existing facility with 2 o'clock operation hours, and limited to that. Then the liquor board could take it upon itself to decide what it wants to do. My sense is they're still going to run an ad in the paper, and they may come back to staff and ask some questions. Is this particular facility in this particular area, what are the impacts? And staff can provide some very general overall information without offering an opinion
Yeah.
on the impact of the operations, because I think that's our concern. We don't know the impact of the operations. And if we don't go to the public and ask for their views, then we're providing a very limited amount of input.
So in other words, if we were trying to get this done as soon as possible, we decided to take on providing comments, it would take us some time to advertise in the paper, to get back the comments, and then provide them. So does that, it seems to me then from what you've said, that this would be taking one step out of the way. So we would then say we are not going to provide comments if we went with that one, and it is then up to the liquor board to then look for the comments, rather than waiting for us to provide and then them. So to me, I think would take longer if we said we'd provide comments rather than opting out and letting them do it right away.
Right.
That's the way I see it, but I'm not sure. Sorry, Councillor Youngberg, and then King, and then Rhodes.
Thanks. Thank you, Member Kordoff. I just don't really quite understand the positioning here. Why can't we just support the application based on the fact that we have received no complaints about the existing operation of the current business? That stays open exactly the same time. We have not got any public input regarding that, so based on that, we support the application. Why can't we just leave it like that?
It's not the way they asked the questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Councillor King?
I'm hoping Ms. Hilson wrote all that comments that Barry said, because I think you're very close to what I would support, that we don't want to take on the role with our staff to do the provincial
Right.
job, but with support of the neighboring liquor establishments having their hours, and we're not near a residential area. I think what you said is some really good middle ground. If we
Is
kind
that
of
just
tweak
what I
that,
said? I just
we'll
said the same
reword what
thing.
you said.
Not quite, I don't think.
Oh,
So,
I'm supporting the application based on the fact that there already is a business there, and we've had no.
I think, but we don't know.
No,
We don't know whether there's been any when they.
Well, we haven't received any as council.
Not because it's already happened. I mean, when this was put in and the hours were done till 2, we don't know whether there was any at the time. Any concerns from the neighbors. We don't know that. So, and because it could have happened a long time ago, we wouldn't know. Councillor Rhodes.
Oh, wait.
I go back to my original comments. I believe that the resulting motion should be able to expedite as rapidly as possible based on all of the criteria that will be asked is already established in that neighborhood, and I would feel very comfortable with moving forward with that. I don't know if we've received any pushback, but I mean, that Owl Pub is morphed from 4 or 5 different names and ownerships throughout the years, but it's always been the same thing, and there's certainly been no pushback from the neighbors or neighborhood or anybody regarding the hours that they stay open in that pub environment.
Do we know that, Mr. Padgett, whether there was pushback on that particular? No, we don't, because it was, no, not this one, on the Owl, when it was put in. And I don't know when they're,
You automatically gets that license, though, being a liquor license. You got to separate. This is
I
a
know.
food license.
Food
that's a liquor
license with liquor,
They're
I
allowed to
agree.
stay open at 2 o'clock. It's not an issue.
yeah. I totally get it, that they're two
Well,
different.
there have been reports to council to increase hours in other establishments, the Sage Pub being one. That was about 10 years ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the Owl Pub was even before that, I think. I've looked in the files briefly just to see what information was contained in there, and it was just a council motion to support
The extension.
that change. But the way they asked this Appendix 2, they don't ask for our approval or disapproval. They ask whether we're going to be providing comments. And I think they do that on purpose so that the branch is making the decision. Yeah.
Can I just run a motion
Yes, please. Go
by
ahead.
council based on some
Okay.
gathering? That council opt out of the public consultation process and direct staff to provide limited comments about the location of the proposed facility to the Liquor Control and Licensing Branch to extend hours of service for Park Place 15 in the event that the Liquor Control and Licensing Branch ask for staff input. In other words,
We opt out, but we offer that. Are
but
you-
we still will provide comments in the event that the liquor board asks for them in their public consultation process. That way, it won't come back to council, again, potentially delaying things based on when council's meeting are, but we can provide some general comments about neighboring facilities, location of the facility, and that's the limitation of our comments.
Is that all right? How do you feel about that, Councillor Rhodes?
Just wondering if we could take the words opt out of there and just provide the comments based on some of the rhetoric that we've had and ideas and opinions from today.
It depends exactly what their wording is that they asked us.
That's
Yeah.
the problem.
Their wording exactly from the Appendix 2 is opt out.
Yes, that's why we've
Use that
included-
term.
we've used that
Yeah.
term.
So we opt out of providing comments, but our staff will give some general. In other words, we're not really opting out. We're sort of saying we're not going to.
Well, we're opting out of the public, of driving the public consultation
Yeah,
process.
that's one.
Okay, well then we need to put
So
that in there.
that's what we
Yeah.
said,
Okay.
that the council opt out of the public consultation process. But in the event that they ask staff for input, we are authorized to provide input to the process.
Can we just provide that? Can we opt out and provide that at the same time instead of waiting for them to call us?
It's actually in the report that it states that. I mean, it states alternatively, local government may opt out of providing comments entirely, in which case the branch will gather public input and contact local government staff for information to assist the branch in considering the regulatory criteria.
Yeah.
So it's right in the report.
Yeah, so we're just adding clarity that we're opting out of driving the public consultation, but we're also clarifying to maybe the owners that we're not abandoning them. We'll still be part of the process if asked.
Can't you-
But can I,
Can't
sorry,
you
Yes.
use the word support?
can we just be
application?
proactive and send that information instead of waiting for them to call us?
That's not the way the process works.
Okay, just trying to move it
Because
a little bit.
they you know, they're very clear in their letter.
Yeah, they are.
They're asking council first,
Yep.
and if you don't, then they will
Have to go ahead.
alternatively start their process.
And my understanding, it's Kurt Lozinski is the person who's doing this. Am I
No,
correct? He works for
He
the
is the liquor
liquor.
licensing rep, but he has nothing to do with issuing licenses.
Okay.
It's a completely separate department in Victoria.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Mr. Brown up here in Cologne?
So,
Not anymore.
Councillor Rhodes.
So I kind of heard in that motion that you read off there that there would be some documentation provided. Or did I hear it wrong?
Yes, we would. You're offering us to potentially answer their questions or provide some limited amount of information based on what we've talked about today. The location of the facility next to another building, the fact that there hasn't been any real issues about that, other business. But again, we're not specifically addressing their particular questions because we're not going to the public to ask for formal feedback for a consultation process. You know, we would answer their questions as best we could, and then they would be able to use that information within their licensing process.
Would we do that simultaneously? Or is,
If they
what I'm
could,
trying to get at is, if we go ahead with that motion, will it cause delays in the application process?
We don't
well,
know that.
I don't really know. I can't say that it will. Again, if we were going to do a public consultation process, usually that's 2 weeks of advertising. That's a month. Here we can respond to them, and they can initiate their processes as they feel fit within their scheduling.
And ask us for information. So I'm comfortable with the way that's worded. I think that is a quicker way of doing things than us taking the responsibility and taking a month to deal with it, and then providing that to them.
Could we hear that back?
I gotta say, read
I'm
it
sorry.
back.
Yeah.
That council opt out of the public consultation process and direct staff to provide limited comments about the location of the proposed facility to the liquor and licensing branch to extend hours of service for 15 Park Place in the event that the Liquor Control Board asks for staff input.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
What about the word limited
Yeah, can you
information?
take that word out?
Like limited information, that doesn't give Neil the opportunity
Okay.
to say what he wants
Yeah,
to
just
say.
take that out.
Okay,
Seems like
to
you're-
provide comments.
Comments.
The use of the word limited was to try and grasp the fact that we're not going to,
Do the-
Spend a ton of time.
well, you know,
Future.
it's more, these are the facts, here's the building, here's the location,
Yeah, you now deal with it
Yeah.
because it's your job.
but to make an assessment about the potential neighborhood impacts.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, we'd have to go to some length to
But
actually
nobody
do
said
that.
anything about that.
Well,
Yes, that's part of what
they
they
did.
want.
If we go to the public consultation process,
But we're not going to do that.
no, but
That's an option.
Well, why would we do that when liquor board's going to do it anyways?
No, if we did what they asked, then we'd be doing it. Not the liquor
Yeah.
branch, the person that.
Yeah.
I know that, but we're not.
Yeah, so that's why we opt out and approve this other method, which I think will take less time. Councillor Rhodes.
Mr. Patrick, could you comment on that? I think you're probably going to be the one that's doing most of the groundwork once this motion is either passed or defeated. I'm wondering if you had any insight about the repercussions of it.
No idea. I don't know
Are
what
you
they're...
comfortable with the
I-
wording on that?
Oh, with the wording of that?
Yes.
I think so.
So one would expect that we would send this information to them, and then in a timely manner, they would get back to us with, we're going the full-blown thing, put a full-page ad in the paper, and we want people to comment on it. or they may do nothing and just
Just
grant
give them
them a
a
license.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
They just
That's
run in that.
Which likely, if we're allowed to comment on it, will be the case, I would think.
We can't make that assumption, though.
Yeah, I have no idea of what the liquor licensing branch's method of operation is.
Well, I wouldn't
Can't
expect
comment.
anybody to stick their neck out, and I'm not doing that either, but I
I can't
mean,
comment on that.
common sense and logic would determine that it probably will happen, you know, I guess.
Interesting, isn't it? That you know, it's really a bit of semantics here. Just the wording is what we probably all want the same thing, that we don't want to take the responsibility of going to a public consultation process. We want them to do it, and we're saying we will opt out of that, but we will support with the information that we have when asked. To me, it makes sense,
The
but
application process, could we say that?
CJ?
Is there any indication of what the options are with regard to public input with this? I'm asking that because I don't think we have the documentation that.
I think you're asking me about the Liquor Licensing Bureau's procedure, and I have no
Yeah.
information on that. I can't help
Okay.
you with that.
Yeah, fair enough. We do not have the documentation, right?
Yeah, we received Appendix 2, Local Government First Nation Confirmation of Receipt of Application, and it spelled out clearly what they wanted from us. And from that, we've come up with these options. But
Okay. We don't have that here. We don't have that
No.
on our part of ours. So we need to figure out a way to deal with this. Are we going to make a motion as suggested, or is somebody coming up with a different motion?
Maybe opt out of leading a public consultation process. And direct staff to provide comments about the location, proposed facility to liquor branch to extend hours of service to 15 Park Place in the event that the liquor control and licensing branch asks for staff input.
Okay, if nobody
Can I
wants to,
I just ask one question.
yeah.
Can't we just opt out and then support the hours?
Well, support has to be, they're asking for some very specific comments.
Okay, there, yep.
And your comments have to be supported by some also comments related to public consultation.
I hear you.
Well,
Councillor Rhodes.
I think that I don't want to delay the process, but I don't think there's a viable solution in front of us. So I'll make the motion based on the wording that was given to us by Mr. Romanko, which we have heard
We
twice
have,
now.
and that
I think,
looks like it's sort of a compromise of all of the things. Is there some, you're
I'll second.
seconding that?
Yeah, I think there's. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it would be faster, and it seems to make more sense based on what we're asked for. All in favor of that motion? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. So in terms of getting this off the ground quickly, that will be done. You will talk to the liquor branch and tell them that, or is that what you do, Mr. Paget?
No, I deal with the
Submit a letter.
applicant has hired a consultant to process this through
Okay.
Liquor Licensing Branch, so we'll be dealing with them.
So deal with him right away, and they can then, Councillor Rhodes?
Do we have a sense about the First Nation portion of this? Do they go through the same process that we do?
I don't know.
Don't know.
Uh,
Because the wording in Appendix
Yeah.
2 says local government
Yeah, the
slash.
Appendix 2 was local government or First Nation confirmation, so I'm assuming they go through the same process as we do.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like they're asked the same thing, aren't they? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Paget. That was a tricky one today. So now we have the general net payroll and Sun Bowl Arena financial accounts. And then those accounts up to August the 21st, 2017 represent balances in the following funds. General cash requirements of $2,015,273.74, and Sun Bowl cash requirements of $6,939.19, and those will be done by consensus. And net payroll accounts of $178,219.56, and that is for information. So we need to no, we don't need to do anything with that. Okay. Building permit. So the building permits, get it back here, for this month, for the month of July, we seem to be doing extremely well. We have total to date of $9,737,291, and to date last year was $3,488,000, $3,488,935. So we have quite a few things that are on the go. I see that there's some renovations to the Osuya Secondary School in the amount of $500,000, and Osuya Shoreline Development Limited, the new restaurant, $1,100,000. That's a lot of money that they're spending down there to redo that spot. So do we just have a motion to receive the building report? Thank you. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor Youngberg.
Just a comment.
Yes.
Certainly glad. I'm hoping that whoever's on that School District 53 committee really sticks their hand up in favor of that $500,000 that they're finally spending on our high school.
I'm sure it's the heating system, right? That was.
I would think so, or the roof or something.
Yeah.
Okay, next is the bylaw enforcement report, and I was looking at this. I noticed that the property, the hours for property is quite a bit more than last year at the same time, and also boat trailers. Isn't that interesting? We have 28 hours spent this time and 11.5 last year. So there must be a lot of boats in town, or people parking their trailers in spots that they weren't supposed to. Is there anything else that anybody wanted to add to this? Yes,
Just a
Councillor
question.
King.
Kind of interesting when you see the total at the bottom of 168 hours, it balanced out to be equal. So is that the budget they're allotted?
I believe so.
So they
Is that
match up the
correct?
budget?
That's how much
Thank
she's,
you.
yeah. And the parks enforcement is the next one, and certainly you see people down at the parks. Our bylaw officers, they're all busy down there. So it looked to me like they were fairly similar from last year to this year, although alcohol seems to be down a bit, which is probably a good thing. Councillor Rhodes?
I'd like to draw attention down to the middle of the report where it says smoking down there. That is almost inconceivable in my mind. Nobody understands that smoking is a personal choice better than myself. I get it, I understand it, but holy man, 139 hours and 296 files is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I can't even imagine it being that. I just wanted to comment and draw attention to that.
And it's similar to last year, and you'd think, considering the fire situation, that it would be less, but it obviously isn't. Okay, thank you very much. Do we need to have that? Okay, we need a motion to accept those reports.
Can I just ask?
Oh,
When
yes,
they
go
relate to
ahead.
traffic, is that traffic, cars driving around in the park?
The bottom one?
Yeah.
Do you know what that is, Mr. Remenko?
Well, that could be people not parking properly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That
I would
makes
think
sense.
that would
Yeah,
probably be it.
That makes sense.
That's quite common.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. We need a motion to accept this report. Thank you. Councillor King, Councillor Youngberg, all in favor. And next is committee reports, and then Mr. Remenko, your CAO report.
Thank you, Mayor McCullough. Just a few of the things that the administration is currently involved in, starting in community services. The leisure guides are for the fall program are going to be going out to print this week. The Cactus Kids Camp ends Friday the 25th, so fall is quickly coming upon us, unfortunately. Terry Fox Run will take place on September 15th. And Participate Osoyoos, formerly mass registration, takes place on September 13th. In terms of corporate services, the new electronic records management manual is well underway. We're in a major project here, redoing our filing systems so that there's better long-term retention of our records and easier ways to find them. So this is all part of a best practices that we are undertaking. Several municipal tickets have been issued and are being worked on, potentially going to court if they're disputed. Another park expulsion letter was issued by the RCMP. The town's policy manual and procedures manual was updated. Unsightly properties continue to take up a lot of staff time. And boat trailer parking issues have been quite rampant this particular year. The director attended a regional transit committee meeting at the RDOS, and the Friday service from Osoyoos to Penticton is scheduled to begin the week of September 5th. I was just informed that there was a mistake in the transit guide. So we're going to be having to do some efforts to ensure that our Osoyoos residents know that there are two trips from here, or two pick-up locations.
Oh.
Apparently they made a mistake on that, so we're going to have to work on that. In terms of public works, beach cleaning continues, mowing in the parks and the Desert Park infield, and we're also doing some street sweeping, some cemetery maintenance, and they started up the Wren lift station down on Wren Street, and that's going to be in operations now. As well, we've did some work cleaning up garbage along the canal trail, and if I'm not mistaken, we had some help from correctional services to do that with our crew. Myself, to continue to work on the new fire bylaw. I was at a meeting on Friday with the fire hall contractor and a paint inspector looking over the paint jobs at the fire hall. We have some issue with that. Also completed 4 UBCM ministerial briefing notes and sent them in, and also attended the council-to-council meeting that was held last week with Oliver. So that's my report. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. We need a motion to accept the report. Thank you, Councillor Rhodes, Councillor Youngberg, all in favor. Thank you. And now on to council reports. First is Councillor Youngberg.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. It's good to be back and try to assume some responsibilities in my role after I've been away so many weeks. And thank you to everybody who has shown me the understanding and support during the last few weeks and over the last year of my family situation. And also attended the council, Oliver and Osoyoos council meeting, which was very informative, and we seemed to work together real well. And as Oliver matures in their development process that they're doing with the hotel and some other issues that they have on Main Street, I think it does nothing but enhances Osoyoos as well. So we look forward to supporting them in that area. Just comments to Desert Park Society today. An absolutely fabulous, successful Silence of the Sun featuring the eclipse. There was so many excited young folks up there learning all about the process of the eclipse. It was attended by 400 to 500 people. Food was given out, drinks, coffee and juice were handed out, and people really had a great time. So kudos to all the members of Desert Park Exhibition Society for all the work that they did. And that's my report, I believe. Anything else happening in my life? No.
Thank you, Councillor Youngberg. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Member Kordoff. Just a couple of things. I wanted to compliment every one of the town staff members that are involved in caring for our parks and, the flowers and the displays and everything on Main Street. If you ever have an opportunity to walk in any one of our parks, and I often go to Cottonwood Park almost on a daily basis, and you run into anybody that's walking around there, they take the time and stop, and the first thing that they say is how beautiful it is, how well kept, and really the real compliment for all of that kind of thing should go out to our staff members and their hard work that they put into that. And the other thing I'd like to do with all of my remaining time, and I'll let the mayor be judge of it, is hearken back to our building report and incredible financial numbers that are presented in that report. This has been an absolute great year. And why is that important? Well, that's always a good barometer of our economy in this community. There are tradespeople, laborers, every kind of construction individual that you can think of involved in that. Most of those individuals are people that have families and live in our community, and the trickle-down economic effect to every business in our community is profound. The bigger that number, the better it is. The smaller it is, well, it's less effective. And don't forget that I did ask for a little bit of a moment of contemplation with my remaining time.
And do you want to take that now, or you want about smoking?
No, that's okay. That's a whole other issue. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor King.
I just really ditto Councillor Rhodes and what he said to staff and what's happening. I know most people like coming here to Osoyoos for the beautiful sunshine and the hot weather, but I think a few of us that live here would like to see rain for a few hours and keep the dust down a little. Thanks.
Thank you. Totally agree. So it's when we haven't met for a month, so I went back looking at my calendar at some of the things that have happened in the last month, and I was at the Fortis meeting again. It was on July the 26th. There was a follow-up meeting on rate design structure and some options, and so I think they heard from several people. In Osoyoos, they had a bigger turnout here than they did up in Kelowna, so we think that there are lots of people here that are wanting to have a say in what Fortis's operation. So they did listen to us, and we appreciate them coming back. We've also had 2 street dances in the last month, and that's thanks to Clint Hawes, who organized that. I know there were lots of kids down there on both occasions enjoying the music and the dancing and the fun. Music in the Park continues every Friday night. There's 2 more, I believe, this Friday and then September the 1st. And our market on Main is very well represented every week on Saturdays and on Wednesday evenings. Lots of fresh fruit and vegetables in there, fresh cinnamon buns. Not quite as good as Carol's, but Mrs. Romanko brings us in cinnamon buns occasionally, and they're good. But we do appreciate all of the work that people go to, and it's always a fun event, and there's always music there as well. We had an Oliver Osoyoos council meeting. We do this about once a year, where we talk about issues that we both share, and it's a good way for us to listen to them and them to listen to us, and we get together on many issues. And about a week ago, there was a book sale outside. The Friends of the Library had a very successful book sale, and a lot of the books were done in boxes. You could get a box of books for $5 starting fairly early in the day, and that was a great way to get some of them back into people's homes, and they raised $1,600 for the library, so that's terrific. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the summer. I know it's still a little bit busy. People say to me, well, you know what, I come to the corner and I can't turn left. And I said, I never ever try and turn left. At this time of year, I only turn right. And you know what? People are enjoying our parks and our beaches and our boating and biking and the wineries. So we want them to continue to do that. So enjoy the rest of your summer, everyone, and we'll see you after Labor Day. Thank you. Could we have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please? Councillor Rhodes, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you very much.